starting from scratch in a new country is kind of like a Keener's wet dream. Like I'm like, oh my God, I have to set this up and I have to organize this and I have to call this person about that. And, it's just like the A type person in me is getting off on having this to-do list. Fostering connection through vulnerability, the People Pleaser podcast validates struggles, celebrates growth, and inspires positive change. Together, let's embrace authenticity, challenge patterns, and evolve with compassion. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the People Pleaser podcast. If you can believe it, this is my 45th episode, which is almost 50. I'm 5 episodes away from 50, and I am 10 months into this thing. I started this podcast I believe it was in March. It might have been February. I changed my platform, like my upload platform. So I don't know if this new one is exactly correct, but yeah, I'm almost at a year mark. I am almost at 50 episodes. And I know that there are some of you listening who have been here since day one. And that is a really cool thing to think about. So thank you. And for those of you who are new, I encourage you to go and listen to some of my older episodes. It won't take long to kind of get caught up, but I think it's always so fascinating to start, especially some of these really big podcasters, to go back to some of their first episodes and just hear how they started. And I mean, my changes, there are some pretty profound changes, I would say, but also I'm still pretty new at this. But I love to it kind of humanizes the entire experience. It kind of brings it down to our level. Oh yeah, even these people who seem like total pros were also, with their rinky-dink microphone and their little spare space in their room with, just putting it all together very haphazardly. And that's where I'm at still. I'm still trying to run this thing pretty bare bones and just pretty simple, just keeping it simple. And it's cool because I have now been on someone else's podcast. I have been interviewed as a podcaster by a New York Times writer. And this week, I'm actually going to be showing a friend of mine what all I do to make a podcast because she wants to start her own. So that in itself tells me that I've been doing this thing for 10 months and that I know a thing or two. And it also tells me that this thing is an evolution. This outlet, this creative venture of mine is an evolution, and it's something that I get to just have fun with and make changes. And that will likely be happening again. There are a few things that I've kind of decided that I'm okay, it's time to maybe tweak this or tweak that. I'm craving a little bit more structure, so I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but just kind of getting back to a little bit of a system right now, just because I took some time off. And before that, it was just a little bit of flexibility in my approach. Things feel a little loosey-goosey, and I love a system. I love to just tighten things up. So it's probably nothing that you will notice on your end, but maybe you'll be like, wow, she sounds so organized. She sounds like she has a system. So hi, it's Corie. It is the end of a busy work week for me. I have the house to myself right now, and I'm drinking tea. I've got my comfy clothes on. I've got a candle burning, the fire is on. Things are just very cutesy, very cozy. And I've just been like really leaning into January. It has been so stunningly gorgeous here in Port Townsend. Like, I kid you not, clear blue skies every single day, beautiful sunrises, beautiful sunsets. It's been cold, like for us, it's been cold, but I just feel so grateful that we've had so much sunshine. I know that my brain, my body, my soul are just soaking up that vitamin D, and it's going a long way. I'm very excited to have a couple of days off. I've been noticing that it's been a hard balance with this job, working in customer service again and just being on for 7 hours a day, just on the front line of like working with people and just being of service for 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. I grow really tired. Like by the end of the week, I don't have a whole lot left in the tank, which kind of leads me to like what I want to talk about a little bit right now and throughout this episode is that I've been kind of back to feeling a bit of struggle when it comes to my social life. And I don't actually think that I myself am struggling. Like, I'm very aware that I'm new to this town and that I'm in this transitional period of time, that I can actually let myself be in that transition and not feel like there's got to be an end to it. Like right now, my transition is open-ended, and that's just because there is so much that's going on, and I still just feel like a little baby in a new city, in a new country, in a new job, in a new school, in new social settings. And I have been finding that because my school is so demanding and my job is like socially quite a lot, I just want to spend my days off like literally talking to no one, literally being the most hermity introvert there is. And like last weekend is such a testament to it. I basically spoke to no one other than my dog and my husband, and barely my husband because he was working. And I was just loving life, just going for long walks. I did a bunch of yard work. I like burned a bunch of like branches and stuff from our yard. I went thrifting. I took photos. Like I just was in my element. I can completely say confidently that all those things would have been really nice to do with someone, but I just like I've become so acutely aware of my need for downtime and just like tending to no one, like caring for no one, just myself. And I think as a people pleaser, that is probably something a lot of us can relate to, is that we spend so much time caring for others or being in service for others that our downtime is kind of extreme. Like it's kind of like a flipping of a switch, because I do not identify as an introvert. I think I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before. Like I was calling myself an introvert for a lot of years, but it's because I didn't really have other language to describe that. And I don't like the word ambivert. Like that just isn't something that I resonate with. If it works for you, that is perfectly okay. But I don't really think that I am both introvert and extrovert. I think that what happens is that I am an extrovert for so long in so many ways. And I am like, when I am in connection, when I'm in community, I'm giving it 110%. So that when I am just on my own, on a day off with like an unstructured day, I am just like in total refuel mode. I'm just like, hibernating so that I can come out like strong and healthy and do it all over again. And working in customer service lately has really shown me like, oh girl, like yeah, you give a lot all week, and by Tuesday night, because that's my Friday, there's not a whole lot left. So, I just made dinner. I wanted to just make sure that the fridge was full, that there was a big healthy meal. I wanted to set my weekend up to just be successful, to be like to have everything I need to be able to just like fully take care of myself. But what I'm coming to terms with is actually today somebody that I sort of know asked me like really honestly, like, how have you been? Like, how has life in Port Townsend been treating you? Like, how are you settling in? How are you liking it here? Which is a question that, people do ask me pretty often. But for whatever reason in this moment, I didn't have like a canned version, like a canned answer, like ready to go. And I really had to think about it. Like, how has this been going? I've just been so swept up in like making sure that I have a job, that I'm tending to schoolwork, that I'm, my husband and I are like building new routines and structure within our responsibilities, within our marriage. I have a dog now. I have a dependent. I take care of my dog. I have been like finding a doctor, like getting health insurance, just like there's been so many new things. And I know I keep saying that, but like I just can't get over it. Like so many new things that are keeping me like very present, like very in the moment, that I don't have a lot of time, or I haven't taken time to just be like, so how is this going? Like, how am I? How does it feel? Because I can very characteristically be busy, be very busy. And I mean, starting from scratch in a new country is kind of like a Keener's wet dream. Like I'm like, oh my God, I have to set this up, and I have to organize this, and I have to call this person about that. And, it's just like the A type person in me is getting off on having this to-do list and getting to tick things off the to-do list. But I have not really found like the soul nourishing things other than my husband, like other than our like loving unit. I'm still figuring out where I belong and how certain people feel and how certain spaces feel and how certain activities feel. Like I'm not really connected to the feelings yet, is kind of what I'm noticing. And I just had like what felt like such an important encounter yesterday, where I ended up walking to and from work yesterday, which I don't normally do, but I did yesterday. And as a result, like I got off work and I was like, it's beautiful out. Like I'm not rushing to get home. Like I have this long walk ahead of me. Like I just started to kind of peruse, and I came across this building that's literally right next door to where I work. And I noticed that like it's one of those buildings where you go inside and there's like all these other little like shops and things that you can't really see from the from the street. And so I go in and I'm like, oh my God, an art store. Oh my God, a art gallery. Oh my God, a midwife clinic. Like, oh my God, like a cute little restaurant upstairs. And then I came across this, which I knew existed, but I'd never actually seen it with my own eyes. It was a typewriter store. And it was closed. They weren't open at all on that day. So I was just peering through the window, and I was like just obsessed with what I was looking at. It was like this room full of typewriters and full of like vintage oddities and collectibles, and just like, it's like a collector's dream to just like see all these things. And I just have such an appreciation for like knickknacks and things and all things vintage. So I was just like totally in awe looking through this window. And up, like coming up behind me was the owner, and he is actually a customer that I've met a couple of times. And he was like, "Oh, hey." I'm like, "Oh, hey." And he invited me into the shop, and he turned on the lights, and like I got to just look around and take in the space. And I was immediately like, "Oh my God, like this is such a connected space. This is such an inspired space." And it just brought such joy to me. and I got the chance to just stand around and chat with the owner, and he shared his story about how he's always collected typewriters and he never really knew what he was going to do with them. And he was from Minnesota and he moved to Seattle and like didn't really find his way in Seattle. And someone had recommended that he check out Port Townsend. And on his trip to Port Townsend just to visit, he stumbled upon this little typewriter store. And the woman who owns it he had said like, "Oh my God, like, can I work here? Like, I'm obsessed with typewriters." And she's like, "I wish you had come a year ago. Like, I am closing up shop. I'm retiring. Like, the gig is up," kind of thing. And so he ended up buying the typewriter shop, but he didn't buy it with any of the contents. Like, she took all her typewriters, but he just had like storage locker full of typewriters. And like this space, like if you are ever in Port Townsend, you need to go check out Type Townsend Studio. I just left that interaction feeling like, okay, like that's the vibe, that's the energy, like that's a real connection. That felt just so genuine and real, and not just like the human to human connection, but like the placemaking and like the space just felt so purposeful. And I'm just like gushing over this because it was a moment that made me realize like I have been missing something. And it's not just one thing, but it's just that feeling of like community, that feeling of connection that I grew up in Victoria, like, and there's so many pockets of that city, little stores, cafes, neighborhoods, streets, that I can access that feeling. And it's not a feeling that I can even describe. It's just that sense of like, aha, like this is it. This feels connected. This feels safe. This feels familiar. This feels exciting. And I'm still finding that here in Port Townsend. And I know that like friends, it takes a long time to build like intentional friendships. And being from Victoria, being like born and raised in the same town until I was like 37 years old, a lot of my friendships came as a result of same place, same time, such as school. We became friends out of proximity more than, an intentionality. And I think that's where things are different when you are in adulthood, especially if like you're not necessarily just becoming friends with all your coworkers. Now, I am friends with my coworkers, but I only have 2 of them. I don't have like a robust staff team. So I'm not necessarily going to find like my community from my staff members, but I have been trying to be really intentional with the customers because, I mean, that's the whole reason I took this job, was to be in community and like getting to know people in the town. And my number one priority as of lately has been to ask people what their name is and remember their name. And so as a result, a lot of people are asking me what my name is. And my next step has been to then ask like, oh, do you work downtown? Or like, and most of the time, like most of the customers that come in do work downtown. And I get to like, I'm just learning where all of these people work and what they do. And that's been like really fun. And it just also opens the opportunity for me to talk about what I do. And, you know, I get to tell them that I'm doing my master's. I get to tell them that I'm new to town, and I'm new to the like art of making friends. And I'm, to be like really honest, making friends, it hasn't been like my number one priority. Like I am doing good, just kind of like chugging along and going about things in a bit more of an organic way. But I am feeling like I'm ready to build that sense of community, like that sense of knowingness, and just having like a sense of like the vibe, like where people are at, what are they up to, and like being a little bit informed, like just learning like the lay of the land, learning about the different kinds of people and where people spend their time, where people spend their energy. Last week on my 2 days off, I decided to take my dog on like completely new walks, and we stumbled upon this like intentional co-housing neighborhood where it was this huge plot of land, and there's like public trails that go all the way through it, but it's like a co-housing, sort of cooperative housing area. And all of the houses were like so creative. There was so much art built into the spaces. There were little book boxes. There were beautiful mosaic benches. There were so many gardens, and like I could tell that they were planting veggies, and just like a really beautiful sense of community. And I think it's just so important for me to like see that happening, because it kind of puts me like it drops me in like, okay, again, this is a place that feels so warm and fuzzy. Like walking through here feels so safe and supportive, and I'm curious, and my imagination is kind of running wild, and my creative flow is kind of like coursing through me. And it honestly inspired me to like come home and work in my own yard. And you know, I kind of was reminded like, oh yeah, like we get to plant a veggie garden this spring. And it just really was exactly what I needed. And then just like coincidentally, some regular customers and friends of my husband and I came into the cafe this week and gave me all of these flower seeds that they had cultivated or harvested, from their flowers. And it's happening. I have to just acknowledge that like I am building community. I am building a sense of belonging, and that it is important to me, and that I do want it. I think I will sometimes be a little bit judgy towards myself when I think that I'm supposed to be more social or be doing more things. And I'm just kind of realizing that no one really cares. And everybody that I've ever told that I'm like just having a low key weekend is like, girl, same, or like, yeah, just yeah. I think by nature, I'm a very relational person. I'm very curious about people. I want to know like what makes people tick, what are you into? And it's exciting to kind of have a blank canvas ahead of me. I've also been considering like what type of volunteer opportunities there might be out there. There's like a low tide walk that happens once a month here in town. Like this town is chock full of ways to get involved. And I think, another funny thing that I'm navigating is that the population of Port Townsend is, I think the median age here is like 57 or something. So Brian always jokes that it's Port Townsend is where old people visit their parents. It's a very old town. There's a large retired community here. And, you know, like there was a version of me that kind of saw that as like, oh, well, I guess that means like there's that many people who would not be eligible to be my friend because we're just in completely different age groups. And the blessing that I am receiving through this job is that I am interacting with like all ages, mostly older people, like if I'm being real. And to just like reflect on like the funny little interactions and the connections that I'm able to make with people of all ages, and just being open to the fact that like on this low tide walk, I might be the youngest person there. And like, that doesn't mean that there won't be opportunities to connect. Or, you know, like in this co-housing that I walked through, I actually ended up looking at their website to see like, oh, I wonder if I know anybody who's like involved with this. And I looked at like their board or whoever, like, I think it was their board of directors. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're all like retirees and I don't know them. And just coming to like the realization too that for most of my life, my friends have all kind of been the same age as me. And I have moved into a completely different world where an open mind will do me so many favors and will present me with so many gifts. And I am just taking it in stride. I'm going to end here. I am actually just feeling a tremendous amount of gratitude in this moment. And I think it's a good time for me to just kind of have the rest of the evening to sit in that gratitude and think about where I want to put my energy over my next couple days off. So I'm sending you lots of love, lots of gratitude coming at you because you are here. You are supporting me. You are supporting yourself by, reflecting on your own people pleasing, your own sense of community, reflecting on what feels good in your heart and asking yourself, how are you doing? Once again, this is Corie with the People Pleaser Podcast. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. And if you liked what you heard, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and a review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can find daily content from me on both Instagram and TikTok. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you on the next episode.